Welcome back to LT Gaming. My name is Tom, and here we dive into strategy games, we celebrate smart design, and we keep things grounded and thoughtful. Today we're looking at the top 25 RTS games worth picking up during the Steam summer sale, from beloved classics to indie upstarts, base builders to hybrid experiments. Now they aren't just cheap, they're clever. Games with depth, personality, and the sort of strategy that rewards learning the systems rather than rushing to the end screen. Luke and I have played all of these games over the years, and whether you're a newcomer to real-time strategy or you grew up on the Command & Conquer series, there's going to be a lot to explore here. We've included a mix of retro favourites and newer titles, so if you're after something nostalgic or something fresh, you should find something worth checking out. And if we've missed a gem that you rate highly, drop it in the comments below, of course. Like the video to help us get some more visibility on YouTube, and subscribe if you want more gaming content. Alright, let's jump in. War for the Overworld, 80% discount, €5.79. This one is a modern take on Dungeon Keeper, where you play as an underlord digging and managing a sinister dungeon maze beneath the Overworld. It blends real-time strategy and management sim, and you carve trenches, build layers, set traps, and command your minions indirectly, all while fending off surface-dwelling heroes. The campaign really eases you in with strong tutorials, and thanks to updates throughout the years and expansions like Heart of Gold, there is now a wealth of content with this game. It's not the shiniest visually anymore, and some of the pathfinding can be clunky, but if you enjoy designing intricate underground bases, this one is going to dig deep for you. Stronghold Definitive Edition, 67% discount, €4.94. The beloved medieval castle builder brought into the modern era, you're back in charge of constructing walls, managing your economy, and planning sieges against AI lords like the rat, pig, snake, and wolf, all with improved visuals, revamped controls, and new campaigns added on top of the original content. What makes this one stand out is the elegant balance between city building and warfare. Now, fair warning, this game can be brutal. Later missions are notoriously tough, but if you enjoy handcrafted challenges alongside system-driven design, this edition offers both nostalgia and depth in equal measure. Age of Empires 4, 60% discount, €15.99. The latest evolution in the classic RTS series. This game delivers the familiar age economy meets army gameplay, with strong tutorials like the Art of War mode and balanced campaigns spanning medieval to Renaissance era. This game really nudges the series forward, simplifying some deep mechanics but leaning into asymmetrical civilizations and smart tactics over pure micromanagement. An accessible RTS that bridges nostalgia and modern design. A solid pick. Command & Conquer Remastered Collection, 75% discount, €4.99. The definitive version of two groundbreaking RTS classics, Tiberian Dawn and Red Alert, fully revitalized in 4K with all expansions included. The modern improvements here are impressive, crisp 4K visuals that you can toggle back to the original pixel style if you wanted, a bunch of UI enhancements plus built-in multiplayer, map editor and mod support. Think of it as Westwood's original design respectfully polished, and that legendary soundtrack over 7 hours re-recorded by Frank Kapłacki, absolutely iconic. Supreme Commander, 80% discount, €1.99. Here's Supreme Commander, one of the granddaddies of large-scale RTS. You command armies of hundreds via your armoured command unit, managing your economy, base building, and strategically zooming across maps up to 80 by 80 kilometers wide. This game has scope and automation in absolute spades, and it remains one of the deepest, largest RTS experiences out there. Come back to it many times over the years, and I still think it's unmatched when it comes to large-scale RTS, especially if you enjoy building a proper logistical backbone behind your military decisions. Dungeons 4, 35% discount, €32.49. This is the latest evolution from Realmforge's Dungeon RTS series, where you command minions underground, set traps, manage resources, and then flip to the overworld to send your forces crashing into towns. It's exactly the blend of Dungeon Keeper and RTS that I personally enjoy. What strikes me most is how refined the loop feels. Bigger dungeons, more minion types, fully voiced narration, and it all comes together in a coherent and satisfying package. For me, Dungeons 4 nails the satisfying dual focus, meticulous dungeon management below and thoughtful conquest above. Can't really go wrong there. Tempest Rising, 20% discount, €31.99. This is a modern RTS that unabashedly channels the golden era of Command & Conquer, yet firmly stands on its own merits. You pick a faction, Global Defense Force or Tempest Dynasty, You build bases, harvest resources, and field forces in fast-paced tactical combat. I really enjoyed the tightly choreographed missions here. Objectives are clear, but you're free to approach them creatively. There are hard counters, unit strengths, logistical considerations. It's clever without being overwhelming. For me, it's the best modern take on an RTS formula I've seen for quite some time. Tight, tactical, and full of moments you want to replay. Aliens Dark Descent, 60% discount, €15.99. A real-time tactical horror game set in the Alien universe. Luke is a huge fan of this one, and I can see why. It nails atmosphere, stress management, and that creeping dread of not knowing what's around the corner. You command a squad of Marines in real time, but you can slow it down to micromanage movement. Welding doors, setting up ambushes, and there's this really smart stress mechanic. Too much and your Marines start missing shots or panicking. Critics really praise this one for its tension and tactical layers. For us here, it's a perfect blend of systems-led design and nerve-shredding atmosphere, especially when an alien drops into a dark corridor you thought was safe. Sacrifice, 20% discount, €7.99. We have a unique RTS classic in Sacrifice that completely sidesteps resource gathering in favour of intense combat and spell-driven strategy. You're a wizard on the battlefield summoning creatures and using mana and captured souls to power devastating spells. This one really has a focus on micromanagement. Every unit, every spell, every moment will matter. Plus it has an iconic feel. The world is strange and surreal, full of fantastical beasts and dramatic, visually stunning moments. For me, this one has stood the test of time, although I wouldn't mind a remaster down the road. Sea Power, naval combat in the Missile Age, 20% discount, €39.19. An intense Cold War naval RTS that blends real-time tactics with pausable command across fleets and aircraft. You're juggling carrier groups, missile salvos, sub-hunts, all while respecting stealth and engagement rules. We really appreciate the scope and fidelity here. Entire theatres, weather effects, time compression up to ×100, yet it's still approachable enough to give you big picture control, without drowning you in micromanagement. It feels like a spiritual successor to Jane's Fleet Command with modern polish, a dynamic campaign that really opens things up. If you're drawn to naval warfare and strategic pacing, you're going to find plenty to sink your teeth into here. WARNO, 50% discount, €19.99. Firstly, Luke and I absolutely adore the multiplayer here. It's a Cold War RTS where you control modern battle groups from tanks and helicopters to air defense units. You can also jump into intense 10v10 matches or smaller skirmishes. I'm really drawn to the mechanical precision in this title. Supply lines matter, recon drives your decisions, and each unit has some weight to it. Tanks just don't stomp over everyone, they lumber with some purpose. You can feel the inertia of the battlefield, and the cohesion system keeps it all dynamic rather than predictable. For us, WARNO hits that sweet spot between scale, strategy and multiplayer intensity. It's exactly the kind of strategic depth Luke and I look for. Majesty Gold HD, 75% discount, €2.49. This is a childhood favourite of mine that me and Luke still talk about. It's one of those quirky indirect control RTS games where you're the ruler delivering bounties and blessings, or your ragtag adventurers do the legwork. I really love the emergent gameplay. You set a reward for slaying goblins, rescuing villagers or exploring ruins. Then sit back and watch the chaos and comedy unfold. Heroes make their own choices, nothing ever goes exactly to plan, and that unpredictability combined with the tight economy and kingdom management makes this one of the endlessly replayable titles in my book. HD Update modernises this game wonderfully while keeping the same cheeky tone and strategic heart that I adored as a kid. Cataclismo, 35% discount, €19.49. This is a wonderfully inventive modern RTS that had me hooked on its castle building from day one. You lay bricks by hand, stacking walls and towers like a Lego master, then at night those fortresses get absolutely tested by waves of relentless horrors. What stands out is how you build the strategy up in this one. You don't just plonk down prefabs. Each block's placement, height and arc matters, and I really appreciate how terrain, unit placement and structure all come together to shape your defense. It feels both tactile and tactical. For me, Cataclismo is hitting that satisfying sweet spot between strategy, design and survival. A genuinely modern RTS that feels familiar and quite unlike anything in this genre. From Glory To Goo, 25% discount, €7.49. Next we're going niche with a solo developed survival RTS that's one of the most promising early access titles I've seen recently. We have a lot of the standard stuff, managing an alien threat, resources, expanding your base, defending against waves of relentless goo. Okay, that one's a little unique. But what appeals to me here is the loop. Base building, tower defense, and that satisfying moment when your defenses hold firm before the next wave hits. It's going to scratch that itch of classics like They Are Billions, but it seems to have its own identity. A pixel art style, meta progression between runs, and procedural maps to give it a bit of bite. It's still early access, but there's some genuine momentum behind it and a lot of positive reviews. Rusted Warfare, 40% discount, €2.99. This deceptively simple looking RTS packs some serious depth, especially thanks to its massive modding community. You will spend a lot of hours tweaking units, testing community made maps, and even using AI driven enhancements that completely reinvent gameplay. This one has flexibility. You have classic RTS base building, resource gathering, but you're never limited by the base game. The scene is so active modding wise that you can load up entirely new factions, mechanics and modes via mods. For me, this is a perfect platform if you love tinkering under the hood and want some endless replayability beyond the vanilla experience. Impossible Creatures, 75% discount, €2.49. This game's a real standout thanks to its inventive creature combining mechanic. Developed by Relic, and yes, it has the same engine as Dawn of War, so please remaster this game too. It gives you a game that lets you splice the traits of two different animals, so think tiger heads with scorpion tails to create these hybrid armies. What hooks you here is the sheer variety. 50 plus species to mix and match for emergent strategic depth. Your approach can be stealthy, brute force, or somewhere in between based purely on the creatures you engineer. For me with this one, it's all about reliving that creative RTS cocktail, unit design meeting tactical warfare within this cult classic that still feels fresh. Original War, 80% discount, €1.99. This is a surprisingly deep RTS classic that's been under the radar for years. Set around a time-traveling Cold War mission in Siberia, it blends base building with an RPG style persistence. Every soldier here counts, and once lost, they're gone for good. I'm really impressed with how this game weaves scarcity into everything. Resource crates drop unpredictably, units refill fuel manually. You've got a real logistical tension driving every decision. And missions have a non-linear structure, so your choices can actually change the campaign flow. This one feels like an unaddressed gem over the years, tight systems, human elements, and a genuine replayability. Total War, Warhammer II, 75% discount, €14.99. On balance, this is my favourite of the trilogy. It's the perfect blend of grand strategy, real-time fantasy battles set in the rich world of High Elves, Skaven, Lizardmen, Tomb Kings, and more, all vying to control the Great Vortex. This has layered depth, managing your empire in a turn-based campaign, then zooming into real-time clashes full of magic, monsters, and tactical nuance. The factions here feel unique, and the pacing from diplomacy to sieges is brilliantly balanced. It's not just spectacle, there is a strategic weight in army composition, terrain, and hero abilities. To me, it remains one of the most compelling fantasy RTS experiences out there. Empires of the Undergrowth, 50% discount, €14.99. Once again, Hooded Horse has delivered another top-notch job. You're in charge of an ant colony, digging intricate nest networks, gathering food, and launching assaults on rival insects above and below ground. The campaign has a documentary-style narration, and it adds a clever layer. The systems feel very polished. Construction, pacing, brood management, timely upgrades, all complementing combat to create a tight, unique RTS experience. Rise of Nations Extended Edition, 75% discount, €4.99. In my opinion, an all-time great, covering an epic timeline from ancient Rome to modern warfare. What impresses you with this one is the pacing. You manage territory via cities on a world map, invest in research and economy, then seamlessly shift into real-time combat when your borders clash. It feels like playing a proper civilization game with the thrill of fast-paced RTS battles. Strategic pacing, territory expansion mechanics, and eras spanning hundreds of years just click. To me, it remains one of the tightest, most rewarding RTS experiences ever. Age of Mythology Retold, 25% discount, €22.49. Another childhood classic brought forward into today, and I couldn't be happier to play this one again. This reinvention stays true to the original's charm while delivering crisp visuals, updated cinematics, and a smoother interface. What always drew me into this game was how it blends RTS mechanics with mythic theatrics. Summoning Zeus to smash enemy lines or unleashing hydras into the fray, Retold preserves that satisfying god power impact while still improving unit control and campaign pacing. Nostalgic yet fresh, this one has it all and is a must play for me. Dungeon Keeper Gold, 50% discount, €2.49. In combination with the Keeper FX mod, I reckon this might be one of the best returns to the genre. Keeper FX revitalises the original game from modern systems, full HD 4K support, revamped UI, a bunch of improvements to quality of life. You even have proper multiplayer, all while keeping that charmingly evil heartbeat of the original. The combination of polished visuals, enhanced controls and deep mod scenery makes this feel like Dungeon Keeper with a fresh coat of genius for the modern era, and a top tier experience in anyone's book. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, 65% discount, €11.54. Of course, an absolute GOAT RTS, now polished for the modern era. Deep economy, epic army compositions and that timeless feel. The remaster stays true to the original gameplay but adds in better visuals, quality of life features and updated AI. I appreciate how it balances accessibility for newcomers and depth for the veterans. The pacing just feels right, systems interlock beautifully, and it still carries that historical flair along with strategic tension. Total War Medieval 2 Definitive Edition, 80% discount, €4.99. An enduring masterpiece that in my view still defines historical RTS. It blends a grand campaign management with epic real-time battles, from crusades to Teutonic campaigns to conquest even in the New World. One of the things to appreciate about this game is the modding scene. From the Grand Campaign mod to the Third Age, you can transform the game into Tolkien's Middle-earth, or deepen historical immersion, or even overhaul combat mechanics entirely. The freedom here makes campaigns feel fresh even decades later. Star Wars Empire at War, 65% discount, €6.82. An excellent retro RTS on its own, but what really elevates this one, you guessed it, is the modding scene, which in my view is absolutely god tier. You return to it regularly because the community has rebuilt the game multiple times over. From Thrawn's Revenge to Awakening of the Rebellion and even the remake mod, they overhaul units, add eras from the Clone Wars to the Old Republic, improve graphics and deepen strategy of course. It's effectively dozens of distinct experiences packed into one game. To me, that flexibility, jumping between eras, factions and graphical styles, is what makes this a long-term favourite.